Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn. I run the services at MedComms Networking.com and the associated website. So information, services, resources, activities for people who work in and around the global MedComms marketplace, by which I mean people who work in and around medical communications, medical education, medical publishing, and the various associated businesses. Also, I do a lot to provide information for people who are interested in a career in MedComms. So if you go to firstmedcommsjob.com, you'll find lots of articles, webinars, careers guides, careers events, and so on. So lots of information to go and have a look at. I'm having a bit of fun at the moment talking to various people around MedComms to find out a bit more about their own personal journeys. So this is just a short informal conversation today with Jason Gardner. So I'm going to say no more. Jason, over to you. Give us a feel for where you came from and what your journey's been like.
Absolutely. Thanks, Peter. Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is Jason Gardner. Like many people in medical communications, I kind of stumbled across it. Initially did a PhD in neuroscience and wanted to get closer to the patients, really, to the actual front end of how people's lives are improved through medicines. And so after writing around a few pharmaceutical companies, managed to get myself a job with one, what's now GSK, in the medical affairs group doing neurology. And it was after I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I found out I was doing medical affairs and I loved it, and medical communications. So yeah, it was a fantastic experience straight away. Being involved in communicating information with clarity to internal audiences, to external audiences, so that they can make the right decisions about treatment and other things at the right time. And I did have a stint in being with GSK in running clinical trials programs for Parkinson's disease for a couple of years. And again, through doing that and reporting the data, I found, yeah, I love the communication side of it, the medcoms, the publications, the symposia, the advisory boards, everything else that comes with that. So I got back into the communication side of things and continued that in another company that's now called Merck. Did that for another 6 years. And all the way through that time, I was working with agencies as partners, which I found essential. They essentially taught me how to do my job. The brilliant people at Cordex, when I first started at GSK, they took me through what I was doing and how I was supposed to be doing it. And I found it a fundamental part of what we do to have that agency and industry partnership that I've continued throughout my career. And in fact, I moved into agency life 12 years ago or so, with a company that's now within the IPG Health network. And I moved in as a scientific director at that level because I'd experienced enough team leadership and enough strategic direction to be able to jump in there rather than go through the traditional medical writer route. And I kept putting my hand up for things. I kept putting myself in uncomfortable situations because I found that's where you learn most, really. It's scary, but it's worthwhile doing. And so I progressed through being a managing scientific director to eventually being head of the medical division in CMC Connect. And that was fantastic. Loved it. Brilliant people, brilliant work. Until just recently, I've moved into another exciting opportunity with a small collection of companies called IMC Agencies and Pulsar, where we're starting our journey near the beginning, really. Sorry about the light coming through. And that's a super exciting part of being at the start of an agency's journey. And so, yeah, watch this space over the next few weeks and months to see what we're going to be doing with that.
Okay. So just reflect back on, I'm always interested, people who move from big pharma into the agency world, just reflect a little bit on how you found the different culture, I guess.
Well, for a start, it's a culture shock.
Right.
Particularly going from the industry to the agency setting, where I found there's much more accountability in an agency setting. You know, you are clearly selling time and expertise, and often the buck stops at you. But what's brilliant is that you have a team around you that is motivated towards the same goal, that's covering your back, that you can rely on, that you can help mentor and develop and work with them. And that I found so rewarding, being in that agency situation. It's not for everybody, for sure. I've seen people who it's not worked for, moving from the industry into the agency setting. But if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and actually get involved in doing the doing and the strategy around doing it, then it's absolutely for you. I found people going the other direction from agency to industry, that's, I think, proportionally a bit more successful.
Right.
Because, yeah, they're used to doing the doing, and then they can move into being more strategic directive role.
And just out of interest, in your experience, do you see that many people going in either direction?
Not many, no.
Surprisingly few, I always think.
But not surprisingly few, because, well, yeah, it takes a certain caliber of person.
Okay, yeah.
And also perhaps the opportunities are relatively few. So sometimes I've seen companies provide secondment opportunities, sometimes through agencies, and sometimes that becomes more of a permanent shift as that person has been offered a role within the industry setting. And that's fine.
Say, yeah, I mean, as you say, it's probably a little easier to see the move from agency into pharma. I mean, I made the move from big pharma into an agency, and I remember it was quite a big thing going from being the client to being the agency. There is a definite mentality shift there that you have to sort of take on board, sort of thing.
There is. You need to be prepared for it and roll with the punches, but that's what's exciting about it as well.
Yeah,
you know, in any MedCom situation, I find that it's always different. You always come up against challenges and opportunities to learn more.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about MedComms. There are loads and loads of opportunities, aren't there? And just one of the things I wanted to ask you about, I know you're closely involved with the with ISMPP, the International Society for Medical Publications Professionals. So just talk a little bit about what they do and what you do with them.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic organization, clearly built upon a publications base, which I think is a great, foundation for all of our MedComms, but from that extends all of the other types of MedComms as well. So the organization also embraces all the digital landscape that's happening at the moment with social media, and further medical education outputs and channels. The purpose of it really is to be, I suppose, the global leading authority across MedComms and publications. And it does that by integrating expertise and membership from industry, from agencies, and from publishers. And it's wonderful in that everybody acts in a very non-competitive way in order to further best practice in medical communications. It's a wonderful platform for collaboration in that respect. There are free opportunities to engage with ISMPP through their newsletters, which are freely available online. Membership also offers people the opportunity to attend the European meetings in London on an annual basis, and also the main annual meetings that are in America. Again, fantastic opportunities to network and to further what we're doing, in addition to actually having a certified, or CMAP, Certified Medical Publication Professional qualification that effectively recognises your expertise in that area, which is a great stamp on your expertise, really. So yeah, it's a wonderful place where all companies pull together, and yeah, I'm firmly behind it, and I recommend anybody to try to get in to find the ismap.org website and look what's there.
Yeah, and it's worth making. But you've sort of talked about London and the US, but they're also very active in Asia, aren't they now? So yeah. it's genuinely it's a global organisation. And I'm gonna throw this one at you because good publication practice has just been launched, the latest update sort of thing. Let's just make a comment about that. GPP is one of the things I'm always telling people who are interested in coming into the business to go and have a look at, because it is an important set of guidelines, I guess, for the way in which we work. So just because the latest GPP 2022 is out, just make a few comments on ISMAP's role with GPP.
So it is, it's one of the fantastic outputs of the ISMAP organization to really form a firm basis of our publications best practice. There's a lot of scrutiny on the pharmaceutical industry in order to behave appropriately. You know, in the past decades, pharma companies have been found out due to malpractice. That's clearly not what's happening now. But to ensure that there is consistent approach to our publications practices, GPP is essential in harmonizing that across all parties, so that everybody is acting in the appropriate way and is aligned on how we should do things. So yes, the way that it's structured now is fantastic, and being so transparent and clear in the guidelines, it's a wonderful facility to be available to us.
It's also just a good reflection, I think, again, of the way that a number of different stakeholders in and around the business come together to talk about a project like GPP. I mean, they've had people in pharma on the agency side, the editorial publishing side, and so on. There's been quite a cross section of people come, and it's a big undertaking. But it gives us the guidance we need. And I just always make that point to people who come into our business or looking to come into our business. You know, this is quite a regulated business. There's a lot of guidelines. There's a lot of spotlight on our business, and things like GPP are an important part of what you need to understand if you're coming into the business. So people can go and find out more about that at ismap.org, as you say. So look, thank you. We haven't got very long. These things are never long enough, but it's great just to hear a little bit of personal insight into you and what you've done. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to you. I know I can say on your behalf that anyone watching this is welcome to reach out to you with any inquiries that they've got, or just to make friends with you. So I'll encourage people to use LinkedIn. That's the easy way of doing it. So look, Jason, thank you so much for joining us today. Best of luck, and I'm just going to stop the recording now. Thanks.